We need 7 for a quorum, Tabitha.
Okay, sounds good. I'm hoping my network is more stable inside. I was out on the deck and it was just glitching too much. So we'll give this a try.
Your storm, or is it
Flash flood?
1, 2, 3. So are we at 6 right now?
Oh, there's Lamont.
I believe we have some.
Okay, I think with Lamont, we now have 7.
Okay, yeah, because I see Art's on as well.
All right. I think we're good.
Oh, Lamont, you're a San Francisco 49ers fan? Really? Come on, man.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I'm going to apologize. I'm windblown and vacationing right now, so I came in to do this. So that's I need to actually finish pulling up everything I need. I apologize. I'm a little behind here. All right. So since we have a quorum, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. on June 17th, 2025. Our first order of business is for Jack Silvers to take the oath of office and then to introduce himself to the board.
Hi, everybody. This is Shanita. I'm the deputy clerk. Sorry, we're out in those ridiculous weather. So, Jack, if you can just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jack Silvers,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties.
I'm sorry.
I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duty
of the Diversity, Inclusion,
of the Diversity, Inclusion,
and Civil Rights Advisory Board
and Civil Rights Advisory Board
for the city of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
for the city of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
Perfect. And then Corey will give you paperwork to sign, and then you can give it back to Corey, and I can get it tomorrow. All right, everybody, be safe going home tonight, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jack, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, when you're done signing that, if you want to just give a little introduction.
Make sure you put the date as well.
Oh, okay. Pretty bad, I have to look.
Great.
All right, so Jack, do you want to give us all just a little bit of information about who you are?
Sorry, I have allergies first off.
No problem.
I've lived in Wichita since I was 2, so a long time. I've sold real estate here for 46 years. I tell people it's too late to get a real job. I try to be involved in the city. I've been on a lot of different committees and boards over the years. And I thought this one sounded like something I would be interested in.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks.
All right. So I know that you jumped in last month's meeting and we're here for just a little bit for that first meeting, but we're not able to vote yet. So we welcome you here to your first official meeting. All right, our next order of business is to look at the minutes from last month's or approve the agenda for this month's meeting. So everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
I would make a motion to approve
does
the
anyone have
agenda
any-
as submitted.
All right, do we have a second?
I will second that.
All right, all in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
And I'll abstain since officially I wasn't here.
All right. And now we will move on to the approval of the minutes for the May 20th, 2025 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Does anyone have any questions about those? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Lamont Anderson, so moved.
I will
Second.
All right,
Howard Allen,
all
second.
in, all right, sounds great. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, the minutes have been approved. We'll move on to the public agenda. Scheduled items, we do not currently have anyone from the public scheduled to speak, but is there anyone from the public here who was not able to let us know you wanted to speak to the board who would like to speak? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to new business, which we also have none to discuss. So we're going to go ahead and move on to board agenda, which our first item is a letter. It has been recommended that we submit a letter to Councilman Johnson, letting him know the actions that the board took. So just wanted to discuss that as a board. We can either do this that I have kind of a shell of a letter if we want to look at that and discuss that and tweak it, or I can just submit something as the chair, whatever the board would like to do. But I just wanted to bring that before the board.
Was that suggested by legal?
So because Councilman Johnson was the one who made the request of the board regarding the reparations proposal, the board needs to respond in an official way to Councilman Johnson regarding what was voted on last week. So like the formal decision of the board.
So basically what I've come with, I'm going to see if I can actually share what I have here. Just have to figure out how to do this in Zoom. I don't work in Zoom very frequently. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can. All right, you're just going to see my many tabs that are open. I apologize. That's just how my brain works. All right. Can everyone see the letter that I have up?
We can see your calendar.
You can see my calendar, of course. Oh,
It's,
yeah,
it's its agenda.
you could see the agenda. Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see. Now, can you see the letter? Is it still not right?
no.
Pardon me? Nope. Okay,
Nope.
still the wrong thing. Well, let me try this again. I might just end up reading it. You see, maybe.
I think reading it would be fine. I think it would be fine.
Okay, well, give me just a second. I'm going to try one more time. This clearly is not my.
Can you send it to the gentleman in charge, whatever, the new guy for the city?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for the time being. All right, so am I still sharing? Because it's not telling me.
Would it be?
No.
Okay. All right. So I think at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and read what I have, and then you all can let me know your thoughts. So it's just dated June 17th, 2025, and it's addressed to Councilman Johnson. Then I just opened within 2024, you requested the DICRAB review the proposed reparations ordinance submitted by Mary Dean. Below, please find a timeline of our work regarding the proposed ordinance. Then I just went through and just gave the timeline of when we first saw the ordinance, basically just each month what the board did with the ordinance up until last month's meeting. And what I put for May was, after some discussion, the board voted to send the proposed ordinance to the council for your consideration without an endorsement from the board. The vote was 5 yay, 2 nay, and 2 members abstained from voting. And then I gave a link where all the meeting minutes and video can be found. Does anybody have anything they would like to add to that or change? I just kind of kept it very basic.
I was just going to say, I think an important thing to call out with this is that by sending this letter, they're also, Councilmember Johnson is aware that the board did not rally around the content of the ordinance, that we're not endorsing the different components of the proposed ordinance, and that this is just, you know, a blanket recommendation for the council's consideration. I think that is the main goal, like relative to the letter, just in response to kind of Art's question.
So I think I don't know if I skipped over reading part of it, but what I put was, after some discussion, the board voted to send the proposed ordinance to the council for your consideration without an endorsement from the board.
No,
And then
you read that, but I am calling attention to that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that is really the important element here, and why, you know, a letter is prudent, I think, especially.
All right, any other thoughts? All right, seeing none. I guess we can take a vote on whether or not we send this letter or not, but I think we should. just for the record, I think we do owe him something in return for his questions to us. So anybody have any?
Could you also link the Wichita documenters? Is that allowed? I think it's a good summary as well.
Okay.
I can find it and link it in the comments.
Sure, that sounds fine. Unless anybody has any concerns about that.
What is it she's asking to add?
Jessica, do you want to explain that?
The Wichita documenters.org. It's a network of news. I don't know, I guess nonpartisan journalism, where they covered city meetings and board meetings such as ours, and then write a summary write-up?
Well, they have the minutes of the meeting and the access to the video.
Yep.
I think in terms of my preference, I think that just submitting the letter that the chair has proposed and allowing that to go to Councilmember Johnson, from my perspective, would suffice. And if there's any additional questions, the council member or council members can comb through the minutes, or they can come back and ask the board directly. But I think keeping it concise, just that the board did our diligence and executed, that's what I would be in favor of at this time.
All right, anything else from the board? Does anyone else have any thoughts on Jessica's request to include the documenters link?
I have no preference. I think they pretty much just copy and pasted the minutes into their article as well.
I just think some folks just are unfamiliar. I will admit this is the first time I've been to this website as well, so that might be where the question was coming from. I'm gonna put it in the chat if folks that are online want to click on it. I just found it. Oh, look at all of us doing it now.
Tabitha, they just made an announcement here at the library that they're going to be closing in 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and speed this process up.
I move
So-
we accept your letter and send it to Councilman Johnson.
I will second that.
All right. So that would mean without including the link that Jessica brought up. So at this
Yes.
point, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Bye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. So we are going to go ahead. I will get that letter finalized and sent over to you, Michael. Do you think it's important for me to have my physical signature on it, or is it okay to just send it typed out?
I think
Because that
either
changes
way-
when I send it.
When she froze. Are you there? You froze.
Yeah, I don't have the best network here at the Airbnb. My question to you, Michael, is it best for me to send that with a physical signature from me on it, or can I just send it over digitally to you for Councilman Johnson?
So I think you could do it either way, but I think it needs to go directly from you to Councilman Johnson.
Oh, not to you, just directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. And then would you mind forwarding to me? Well, no, never mind. You don't need to re-forward it. I already have it. I can pull it up. The ordinance as it was final submitted. I might check with you and make sure I've got the right version before sending it. But okay, so the next item on the agenda, let me pull that back up again, is wrong thing again. Give me a moment. Someday I'll get the hang of this. All right, is the executive order compliance and kind of the impact on our board. I think we all kind of feel that that with executive orders surrounding DEI initiatives, that we have some question as to whether or not the board is going to remain viable or whether we're still going to be here for long. We certainly have run into, as we have begun trying to do work, that work has stalled out while it's being reviewed by legal. And so I think this was just an intention to be brought up for discussion so everyone's just aware, and we're acknowledging that fact, just aware that we don't know what direction the board is going to, where we're going to be moving forward, or how long we'll be aboard, or even what work we can get done. So I think it was just more an acknowledgement of that. And Carrie, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I do wonder though, if folks that are part of the committee have a baseline understanding of the challenges that why the legal review is necessary, what, executive order is at the basis of that review. I just want to make sure there's no gaps in understanding. And I personally would appreciate if the city manager's office or legal, whoever that question is best posed to, could present any kind of timeline as to when they might complete this review, because otherwise we will be forced to just call meetings for the sake of meetings with nothing on the agenda. Like this tonight is literally the only thing on our agenda due to the stall in the work, due to the legal review that is being conducted. But yet, and we have to meet, is my understanding, because there was an ordinance passed requiring us to do so. So, just so folks know, like if we don't have some kind of timeline, if we're not presented with that information, we could be showing up and saying hi and bye for our next meeting. All right, I guess, so the question, does anybody have any question as to what why the work is stalled? And I mean, do you need more information about that?
Have we been given that word that it's stalled? I mean, we know that the video and the questionnaire was stalled, but what else is on our agenda at this time besides that? I mean, that was kind of our highlight.
Everything, the strategic plan itself is being reviewed to determine what we can and cannot move forward with, if anything.
Right. So do we have a
So
timeline?
there's nothing else for us to like quote unquote do, because that was the bulk of our, I think, determination as a board. That plan is our work, right? We don't just make work up, we follow the plan. So I think that's the challenge.
So to answer your question about timeline, our law department is taking a comprehensive look at all city policies across all departments, and scouring everything to make sure that there's nothing that could potentially jeopardize federal grants and federal funding. This board in particular, because it's so closely tied to DEI, is going to be part of that. It's just going to have to be part of that analysis as well. So I don't know, I would need to follow up with legal about a specific timeline, but I just know it's a big undertaking, because we're talking about, all city policies, not just like the personnel policies, but all departmental policies as well for each department. All of our grant applications, all of our, just everything is under scrutiny right now, just to make sure that, we're not going to jeopardize grant funding. So I don't know if there's a specific timeline on how long that's going to take. I know it's kind of an all hands on deck project. I'm currently working on the HR stuff with legal to look at our, personnel policies and the way we do things in HR, to make sure that we're in compliance. So I know every department's involved. It's a pretty massive undertaking.
Would it be appropriate to ask if it is within the law for us to pause the work of the meetings until that review is complete? Is that a worthwhile question? And at least then you also bring that to the attention of the city council, because I know when I had a conversation a few months ago with a council member and had asked about the status of the board's viability into the future, I was basically told, I haven't heard a thing. So, I wonder if it would warrant, a letter to let council members know that we're in this limbo and asking for permission to pause meetings until the review is done.
Or maybe it's just a question we could pose to legal and the county or sorry. I
Yeah.
also do the same thing, Michael, the city manager's office, and say, what are our options here as we wait to find out how
Well,
we
we're
move
not
forward.
ready to disband, but I think a pause
Yeah.
is wise. Otherwise, we're spinning
We're
our
just
wheels.
wasting time. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that's what I don't want to be doing, is wasting all of our time. So if it's all right with everybody, then I will just send an email. Probably, Mike, I don't know if it's appropriate to send it to you and you send it on, or if you want me to send it directly, maybe to Dante, and kind of ask that question of what do we do here?
Yeah, you can send that one to me, and then I can follow up with.
Sounds good.
Send it forward to the city manager's office, and see how they want to approach this.
All right, sounds good. Because we certainly don't want to, we also don't want to be the cause of issues for the city on funding that they desperately need. So, that we all desperately need. So, yeah. All right. So if there's no more discussion on that, that is all. Oh, yes.
I did have a question, Madam Chair. Forgive me, Mike,
No
and
problem.
I don't know if you can elaborate on, but I guess my question is, in all this work that is being done as the scope of work is being swept, has there been any conversations with any of our federal level partners? I understand like what has transpired, so I understand that, city departments and things of that nature are trying to err on the side of caution. But my question is too much caution maybe being exhibited? Has there been communication with anybody at the federal level to understand scope, work, and perspective, as opposed to we're trying to drill down and eliminate and eradicate based on perception and what could happen?
I don't know specifically if those conversations are happening. I would imagine that's part of what the law department is doing, is not just coming in and just eradicating things, but also having those, trying to gain a better understanding of what the scope is, and what requires the level of scrutiny that we're putting. So I don't know specifically the answer to your question, but I would imagine and I would hope that question is being discussed, in our law department.
Okay. And like I said, and that's a question I have, and I may fold that to the councilman. And I only ask that is because I know that I've heard, not just in these meetings, but just overall, there's a lot of emphasis being put. I don't want to say blame, but there's a lot of focus on what is coming down from the federal level. And again, I would just like to make sure in clarity that, there are questions being asked in collaboration with the federal partners, and it's not just something of perceived what could happen, what's the worst that could happen if this doesn't change. And so things are being changed based upon a worst case scenario, and perhaps those questions are not being deliberately or intentionally asked. So anyway, I appreciate your answer, and thank you very much.
And just for perspective here, Lamont, I'm on a nonprofit board based here in Kansas. And we just voted to enter a lawsuit against the Department of Justice because of the requirements surrounding the executive order and the grant itself. So this is really real stuff is happening. I don't know relative to governments, you know what I mean? The activities of governments. I am not familiar if there's been any lawsuits from governments directed at, this administration, relative to the executive order. But I can tell you there's been a lot of lawsuits, including here in Kansas.
Sorry, I'm going to rein it in because Jessica has her hand up and we need to get this finished so that you guys can get home safely. Yeah, so Jessica, can you speak very quickly and then we need to adjourn?
Yeah, so I just had a question about the strategic plan and when it was first introduced and when you were first working with legal and everything, and then when it was finalized, those dates.
Oh goodness, I'd have to pull things.
An
back.
estimate, years or.
Well, it was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21, 22 timeframe. I think it was passed in 23. It took us a while to get through it. So, yeah,
So it was introduced in 21?
is when the conversation started. Yes.
Okay, okay.
When this board was formed and started, and that was the next thing on our agenda after the non-discrimination ordinance. So, yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, because of weather, I'm going to adjourn, and because the library is closing. So everyone, please be safe, and we will see you next month unless we hear differently from the city. All right.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
For this term.
You know, it's possible.
I did too.